Welcome to the Wolverine Digest podcast, the best spot for objective and authentic coverage of Michigan athletics. If you want open dialogue, honest opinions, and in-depth coverage of the maize and blue, this is the podcast for you. And now, here's your host, Brandon Brown, joined as always by Chris Breiler.
I was going to start by saying go blue.
The boys are back in town. We're back.
We did say 5:12, right? That was when we were going live?
Give or take. I actually didn't announce it anywhere, did you? Sometimes
I did.
Facebook. Yeah.
I did announce it on Facebook. I do apologize to the 10 people who routinely watch us who are probably on the edge of their seat at 5 p.m.
Listen, it is an ongoing thing with Chris over there and his audio equipment. We also
It's a sad
update
scene.
the background for
Look
everybody.
at the background. Look at it now. It's very official. Very official background.
We were going through a couple photos, trying to make that look good. We were talking about, dude, our lives as sports fathers, soccer dads, dude, just trying to live the dream. And, you know, that's why we are going at 5 o'clock tonight. First of all, Chris has some soccer responsibilities with his little guy.
That's right.
And so that's why we're going at 5. And we will be back again on Saturday at some point, too. So we're coming to you twice this week. And the reason why we are going to be back on Saturday is our first topic of discussion tonight. Chris, is it the second annual?
The second annual.
Yes. We're going to it.
Yeah, second annual. Hold on. I'm getting feedback.
Okay. I'll switch that back while I'm talking.
Yeah, so second annual Wolverine weekend. It's an incredible event that they do up at the Grand Traverse Resort and Spa. Last year, I think it was J.J. McCarthy, Ronnie Bell. I know I'm missing somebody. I remember those two guys. Ryan Hayes was up there as well. This year, they've got a phenomenal lineup. Makari Page, Donovan Edwards, Junior Colson, Colston Loveland going to be up there. These are four guys.
And
who did I miss? Well, of course,
Will Johnson.
I just happened to miss probably the premier player that's going to be there, Will Johnson. These are all guys that are going to have a major impact on the upcoming season. And what it does is it gives people the opportunity to, get to meet these guys, get the autographs, get the pictures taken, but also sit in a room, have a dinner, listen to them speak. They're going to be interviewed and talk about the upcoming season and various topics. So it's a really cool event to go to. And then you get to be up at the Grand Traverse Resort. The golf course up there is absolutely beautiful. I mean, the last time that we went up there, the weekend was phenomenal. The weather was great. Just a very, very enjoyable thing. So I did put the article out on the Sports Illustrated site. You can see it on the Facebook page as well. I believe the last day to buy tickets online is Thursday. So if you're trying to get up there this weekend for that event, if you don't have anything to do, you want to take the family up, do a quick getaway, get online, get the tickets, get there. Friday, they're doing a Woodson whiskey tasting event, which is going to be phenomenal. Saturday is the dinner, and then Sunday is the golf outing. So an incredible weekend up there at Grand Traverse Resort.
You hit it on the head last year, dude. The weather could not have been better. The place is obviously gorgeous. We worked hand in hand with Eric DeBoer, who kind of is running the show up there, and he was accommodating is not even the right word. I mean, he pretty much gave Chris and I keys to the place, let us do whatever the hell we wanted. Going to be a little bit more of that this weekend. As Chris said, Woodson Whiskey Friday, dinner Saturday, golf Sunday. More than 200 people expected to attend this year, which is almost double last year, I think is what they said. Trying to, again, this is only the second year they've done it, so trying to have a really good event up there with, as Chris said, 5 premier players. Last year, J.J. McCarthy, Ronnie Bell, and Traverse City native Ryan Hayes, which I think was why he was involved in the first one. So that was pretty cool. And even though there was a pretty major wrench thrown into things last year, a la one Jim Harbaugh, he threw a little curveball and called a late practice that they did not know was happening. But it ended up being an awesome weekend anyways. The dinner was outstanding, couple keynote speakers, a phenomenal, I'll say it right. I haven't even seen it, but I know it's phenomenal. Phenomenal highlight video by none other than yours truly, Chris Breiler.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the cool things about this. Being there is really cool. But Eric had asked me to do sort of the highlight video, the hype up video going into the dinner. And so this year, same thing. I'm doing, I put together a video that they're going to play before the dinner on Saturday. And then a couple of videos for the walk up as the players are going up to do their interviews. And then throughout the dinner, you'll see some of my photography from last year, just sort of scanning across the various screens that they have there. So, I mean, all around, man, it's a pretty cool event to be a part of. Very, very honored that they asked me to do that work. And I'm excited to get up there.
I mean, in all honesty, that's really why we're there, was because Eric reached out to you, had you put that stuff together. And then, I mean, if we were, it's open to the other media. Like, we could go there and cover it and do it like we normally would. But the reason how we kind of got involved was because Chris I'm just riding coattails, bro. I'm
just enjoying the ride, man. That's what it's all about. It's a weekend up in Grand Traverse.
I'm going to take the sticks. I'm going to see if I can get out there and whack it around a little bit. I mean, I just show up, basically, is what I'm saying. Chris did all the sweat equity, all the hard work, all the elbow grease. And but it should be a really cool event. It was last year. These things tend to get better the longer you do them. I know I talked to Eric about, he's just stressed already. But last year, dude, I remember we pulled up and he was like,
anytime you try to do NIL with the players, especially when you're asking them to travel a long distance, or all things considered, relatively long distance to get there. Like you said, last year, Jim Harbaugh calls an unexpected practice, which put a delay in things, and you're kind of at the mercy of some of the other things that are going on. So hopefully it's a smooth event for these guys. But even with that wrench last year, it was an incredible event. I mean, kids, parents, families got the opportunity to get up close with these players in a real intimate setting and just be at in a cool place in Northern Michigan. And I got some pushback on that. I said they're going to be in Northern Michigan for the weekend. And of course, you get the Michiganders that come in and say, well, that's not Northern Michigan. Northern Michigan is the Upper Peninsula. Apparently to some of these folks. I thought Northern Michigan, there was like a line in the lower
Northern
Peninsula.
Michigan is like north. Northern Michigan is like north of Saginaw.
Correct.
You hit the Milwaukee Bridge. That's Northern Michigan. Yeah. Speed limit jumps up to 75. You're smacking deer every other day with your car.
I'm telling you, it is a hot topic for some of these people out there. What constitutes Northern Michigan?
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, if Traverse City's not Northern Michigan, then what the hell is?
Well, listen, then why is Northern Michigan University in the UP? Why is that the case? Why isn't it in the lower peninsula? Who knows?
That's funny. All right, so
bottom line, great event. Get your tickets, get up there, go see the players, and be a part of what's going to be an awesome time.
I've got a very distinct memory from this thing last year of a little Sparky. He was probably 5 or 6. Big old jersey, 7 sizes too big on him. Just little catch with JJ back and forth with a little foam football. I mean, it was awesome, dude. It was awesome. And the 5 guys that are going to be up there this year, new faces from last year. So that's pretty cool too. And I don't know, if they're going to try to shuffle through different guys every single year. I think they wanted to get JJ. He might have had a scheduling conflict this year, but regardless, dude, it's a phenomenal event. Eric does a great job. Grand Traverse is amazing. I'm looking very forward to being up there.
I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say specifics, but I think there was a rather big name basketball player that was also going to be there, and circumstances changed there. So in any event, an incredible lineup, all impact players. All these guys are going to have a big impact on the upcoming season.
Yeah, there you go. So really looking forward to it. And we will we'll go live. We're going to go live from somewhere up there. We're going to attempt to procure some interviews.
Eric's going to put us up in the penthouse. He's going to give us the beautiful backdrop. We're going to be in a real nice place up there at the resort.
It's going to be nice. All right, so looking forward to that. Along with some other positive news on the football front, Michigan. I mean, dude, we've talked about it at length. All the depth, all the talent, all the returning experience, all the young guys who we expect to make pretty big leaps in 2023. Michigan's team is absolutely loaded, except there was like one except every time we talked about this. It's like, man, that other cornerback spot opposite Will Johnson, maybe it's Omarion Walker, maybe it's, some of these other guys who just haven't played a lot of football. I mean, everybody loves the idea. Jalen Burrows. Everybody loves the idea of Omarion Walker because of his height, his length, the speed, the numbers we heard about. But then, Jim Harbaugh, just with another magical cast of the wand, dude, he goes out and hits the transfer portal and lands a guy named Josh Wallace, from UMass. I mean, so the school he's coming from shouldn't make you excited. But this dude has played more than 2,000 snaps of football. He's a team captain. He's a multi-year starter. He's picked off multiple passes while he's been playing there. Kind of ironic and funny that he played for Don Brown last year. A little blast from the past. But
am I wrong, or wasn't he also a high school teammate of Hunter Dickinson? I'm pretty sure that they played on the same.
He went to Matha.
There was a picture that came out, and Hunter Dickinson and Josh Wallace are in the lineup. Yeah,
I did not realize they were, but yeah, age-wise they would be, and they played at the same school. And I didn't know this, but in looking back at Josh Wallace's profile as a recruit, he had a basketball profile as well, which I think is why, maybe he was like a modestly rated 3-star kid, ends up at UMass. This is the type where it's like, maybe it was football, maybe it was basketball for a while. He decided to go football maybe later in his career. Might have probably lends itself and explains why he had such a good career at a place like UMass when he probably was good enough to be at another school. Regardless of all that, now he's a Wolverine. Chris, is he your day one starter opposite Will Johnson?
I think he has to be, and I got to give credit to Zach Shaw. I think he's with 247. He had put out sort of a list of the snaps of the guys that are going to be competing for that. Do you have it?
Engaged Zach Shaw, by the way. Congratulations, Zach Shaw. Yeah. From throwing ass to throwing engagement rings. Zach Shaw is off the market.
Holy cow. From Miami to okay. All right. Well, I'll give him credit for this list. I don't have it in front of me, but he basically on Twitter, he put out, the snaps breakdown of everybody that's going to be competing for that starting job. Brandon, maybe you can pull that up as I'm talking through this, but it was Josh Wallace far and away in terms of experience. I mean, over 2,000 snaps. And then I think when you got below Josh Wallace, the next guy was like 100 snaps, 60 snaps, 50 snaps. To me, there is zero question that Josh Wallace is the day one starter. And I even put this out in an article today that, I don't want to put too much pressure on Josh Wallace. I don't think he has to be all world. I don't think he has to be what Will Johnson is expected to be. I just think he has to be serviceable and solid at that position. And I think he will be given the experience he has. And for me and my money, this addition is the last piece to the championship puzzle for Jim Harbaugh. We talked about it. You mentioned it. All the pieces that they have in place, the experience, the depth, all of that stuff. That big lingering question mark about that corner position opposite Will Johnson, that was answered emphatically today. And to me, I look around the rest of college football. Now, granted, I don't pay as close attention to these other teams as I do the University of Michigan, but you'd be hard-pressed to find a roster top to bottom that has everything that Michigan has at every position. They are built to win a national championship this year.
They've made it to the playoff 2 years in a row, and this team is more complete, more experience, more depth across the board. I mean, I've had so many. I'm going to get off the rails here a little bit. I've had so many internal discussions with myself about this offensive line because I started to put together the sleepers of the season. I've gone position by position. Like, it's hard to come up with sleepers because you pretty much know who's going to be the guy at every spot. I'm putting together the offensive line sleeper list right now, and it's crazy. And I'm with you, dude. This was the one question mark, and it feels like it's not a question mark even at all anymore. Like, not even a little bit. When you get a guy like Josh Wallace with this much experience, and to your point, Chris, here's that list that Zach Shaw put together. So
there you go. These are the options opposite of obviously Will Johnson. And to me, there's zero question that they brought in Josh Wallace to be the starting cornerback. And I mean, with the experience, again, 4-year starter, 2-time captain, has made several big plays out there at UMass. And I get UMass isn't, a big time program, but he's got the experience you need at that position to be effective. To me, this is a no brainer. And this defense now, again, looks like a top 5 defense. Offense looks like a top 5 offense. And whether or not you're looking at whatever side of the ball you're looking at, Michigan is absolutely loaded.
Your snap leader before Josh Wallace committed to Michigan was a walk-on in Keyshawn Harris.
There you go.
And he's got more snaps than the other guys because he's a walk-on and he's played bulk snaps in lopsided wins. That's not look.
It's
situation.
it's not to discredit any of these other guys based on the limited snap counts they have. But when you ask me, who's the day one starter, who are you trotting out there week one against ECU on Peacock, no less? To me, it's Josh Wallace. It's a guy that is, when you can put a veteran piece at such a critical position like that, you got to go with that guy. And I got to believe that the reason he committed to Michigan was because he knew that was going to be the case.
And not to be lost. I mean, yeah, playing at UMass, lesser talent around him, lesser talent against him. That's all true.
Valid, yeah.
He was already an NFL prospect. Like he's 6 foot, he's 190 pounds, absolutely put together, long arms, sticky, good ball skills. Again, I can't help as a former recruiting person to kind of go back to, like, you see this with guys that are multi-sport athletes, or Mike Sainristil is a great example of this. He played so many different positions in high school that he didn't really get a very high rating at any one spot, because he played quarterback. He played, Mike Barrett's another one, played quarterback. He played receiver. He played DB. He returned kicks. He played running back a little. He did it all. And because of that, you don't really get to like lock in on what he's really and truly good at. And he's even kind of done it. Both of those guys have done it in college as well. It took a little while for them to find their fit and really find where they're going to be. I think we're going to see really good things out of this kid. I mean, he's played a ton. Obviously, he's got the mental makeup as a former captain, a multi-year starter. That is it, dude. I mean, okay, now with this development, with him being on the roster, Chris, is there one thing on this team, front to back, top to bottom, that you have a concern about, a worry? It's a little soft. That's a little weaker than I'd like. If somebody's going to attack him, that's where. I don't know where you go now.
I keep having this lingering. It's not a question mark. It's not a doubt, but I'm really excited to see what the defensive line looks like and how they hold up. I know you're going to ask a hell of a lot more out of Kenneth Grant this year. Yep. You're going to need more out of Rayshon Benny. Obviously, Chris Jenkins is expected to step in for what or who Mozzie Smith was, like that type of impact player. So I expect a lot of things from those guys, but to me, the defensive line is where I look at this team and say, okay, they still have to show something, because everywhere else, Rod Moore, Mike Sainristil, Makari Page, Donovan Edwards, Blake Corum, J.J. McCarthy, Roman. I mean, these are known Zach Zinner, Trevor Keegan. I can keep listing them off. They're all known commodities. You know exactly what you're going to get. They're used to being starters. This defensive line has got to show me something this year.
Yeah, and Cody Richter, great point. The kicking game is a valid concern. That's a valid concern.
It is, but they also brought in
transfer guys there too.
They brought in a transfer from Louisville who, I don't have it in front of me, but I think he set some records at Louisville, high completion percentage, field goal completion percent. I mean, the dude's a legit field goal kicker, and so I'm not really all that concerned about it. And even if he doesn't pan out, they've got that freshman Adam, what the hell is his last? Samaha, right? So, who is also a really good field goal kicker. I think they're going to be just fine. They got Tommy Doman that can punt the ball out of the stadium. They're going to be all right.
Didn't they get two? Did they get two kicker/punter commits? I think they got two guys.
Maybe they did. Maybe they did get a punter transfer. Now that you're saying it, that does kind of ring a bell.
They got
the field goal kick.
They got James Turner. And I could have swore there was another guy. There was another guy that was a potential kicker and punter. Regardless, I'm with you.
Regardless, they'll be fine.
It's a little bit of a.
It's not, anytime you got to replace Jake Moody.
Right. That's what I was going to say. It's not.
They're probably not going to be Jake Moody.
Almost just called him Tim Robbins. It's not Brad Robbins and. Just we want to catch Shawshank real quick. Just go ahead. But it's not Brad Robbins and it's not Jake Moody. But I think they should be pretty solid. They've recruited a couple guys that can really play there, and Tommy Doman and Adam Samaha, and then they did bring in the transfer from Louisville. Yes, if I've said this in the years past about Michigan, though, I'm like, well, look what they lost. It's gonna be a step back, and then it just flat out wasn't. Yeah. I mean, everybody said that when they lost Ojabo and Hutchinson. It wasn't worse. It was better, actually. Everybody said when the offensive line kind of had to move some things, it's not going to be quite as good. It was better. And I think you're going to see that again maybe with the offensive line. As good as Olu Olatimi was and how much I liked him, I don't know how much you drop off when you put in Drake Nugent, and then you've got probably the best interior offensive line in the country with those three, and then 10 dudes battling it out for the 2 tackle spots who have all started and played.
And listen, don't take our word for it. We're just a couple of dinks in our basement talking on some gamer headsets.
Well,
Jim Harbaugh himself said just prior to that spring game that to date, which was in early April, this is the best version of a Michigan football team I've had since I've been here. And, I get that coaches get caught up in these, but Jim Harbaugh, for him to make a statement like that, to me, is a pretty bold statement. And then when you look at the roster, you look at the pieces they have in place. And by the way, huge credit to Jim Harbaugh in being a master in how he utilizes the transfer portal and getting the right pieces for what his team needs. He has just been on a heater as of late. He's built this team into a national championship caliber team, not just with the players he has in place, but the coaching staff is elite. Like everything that is in that building is the perfect piece for what they're trying to do. Elite talent, elite coaching, elite culture. It genuinely feels like it has to be this year for the Michigan Wolverines, because when you look beyond this year, I mean, you're probably going to lose. Well, you're going to lose Blake Corum after this year. You're probably going to lose Donovan Edwards. You might lose J.J. McCarthy. You're going to lose a handful of those offensive linemen. You're going to lose a lot of talent on this football team after this year. That's not to say that they can't reload, but everything feels like it's been building towards a team like this. And then when you take in the circumstances around them, what's going on with Ohio State breaking in a new quarterback, same with Michigan State, same with Penn State, same with what's going on with some of these other top tier programs like a Georgia and a Bama, there's question marks there. There really aren't any question marks in Ann Arbor right now. This team is solidified. You got to win it now. You got to do it now.
Man, it's good. Can they kick off tomorrow? I mean, good God, dude, you just get so excited.
All right, well, let's talk. Hang on. I've seen a couple people bring it up. Let's talk about the wide receivers. I mean, I have my thoughts on it. What do you think, Brandon?
I'm not worried at all. I think they're beyond serviceable. I think you've got a great blend of size, speed, possession, leadership, work ethic, blocking. You've got it. You've got everything you need. They returned most of what they had from last year, and they don't throw it that much. So I mean, like, what is it like? I know, supposedly, there's going to be more throwing this year, but
yeah.
And as much as that was like kind of music to my ears, I almost immediately just said, like, why?
We have done such a 180 on that.
I know. Why would you?
Can you imagine like Jim Harbaugh saying like we're going to throw the ball more, and you and I being like, meh, why?
Yeah, well, that's where I'm at, because Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum are that good. The offensive line is that good. J.J. McCarthy as a running threat is that good. I have zero concern about the receivers. Absolutely none.
Me either. And Cornelius Johnson is a big reason why. Roman Wilson is a big reason why.
Yeah.
Colston Loveland is a big reason why. I mean, we'll see what happens with Darius Clemens. I think he's that. I don't want to go. I'm going to bring it up again. I don't want to go down the Andrew Anthony road with Darius Clemens and put that on Darius Clemens to think that he's going to be that dude. I think he can be. But to your point, the way the Michigan offense works and how they utilize their tight ends and their wide receivers, they don't need those guys to be superstars. They just need to be serviceable. And I also think you're going to see a healthy dose of Donovan Edwards in the passing game. I think you're going to see him on the field a lot, maybe in a slot role coming out of the backfield. He's already shown that he can make circus catches. Go back and look at his highlight film from last year. Made an incredible catch. I think it was against Rutgers. There was another one in the might have been against Hawaii. I can't remember exactly which game it was, but Donovan Edwards can catch the ball.
He's a really nice catch against Iowa. JJ rolled out and it got
right there. You go. Yep, it was Iowa. So,
yeah.
Point being, they don't have a superstar at wide receiver, but they don't need one in this offense the way it operates. I think they're going to be just fine.
Yeah, I like the receivers. I mean, I think you take Cornelius Johnson, you put him at like Oklahoma State or Tech. By the way, how about Alan Bowman winning the starting job at Oklahoma State? By the way,
incredible.
Did you see that? I mean,
incredible.
Unbelievable. But you put him, I don't even know if it's not really the way they do it anymore, but the teams of old where they throw it 50, 60 times a game, Texas Tech, and some like Cornelius Johnson could catch 100 balls. He's a good player. Roman Wilson might be the fastest offensive player on the team. Like, they've got plenty of ability. They're just not schemed up that much, and it's because they don't need to. You saw it when JJ had to go deep and throw it out there a little bit against Ohio State. He was able to do it. Yes, Cornelius Johnson got wide open a couple of times, but it wasn't like a fluke. I mean, he got open on scheme, play design, and great route running. Broken tackles, speed to the end zone. I mean, I'm not worried about those guys. I'm really not. They haven't put up big numbers, but they haven't been asked to put up big numbers. And I want to ask you about this. I'm curious to see what the development looks like now from June 7th, because it just happened today, or it was today, this morning. Seems like I've been up for 2 days already. Omarion Walker, is he now back in the wide receiver room full time? That dude is a talent, man. He is an absolute talent and a problem as an offensive player. And now you've got Josh Wallace. Are you wasting Omarion Walker, getting him ready to play cornerback when he might not ever play the position? So I'm curious to see what happens there now too.
I mean, yes, maybe you do see him on the offensive side of the ball. Maybe you see him more in special teams, punt return, kick return, utilize some of that elite speed that he has. But, again, when it comes to, is the Michigan wide receiver group, is that a weak point? I don't think so, because this offense isn't predicated on what the wide receivers can do. JJ can go around and he can spread the ball around to 10 different targets, and they can be extremely effective through the air. So I think that the passing game is going to be fine. We'll see if it ends up being a little more 50-50, as Harbaugh alluded to earlier this week, late last week. But at the end of the day, with what they have up front, they have an NFL offensive line. They've got 2 running backs that are Heisman Trophy caliber. I mean, they have everything they need to just basically spend 12 weeks running the ball. I mean, that's really where it's at. I think it's when you get into, the college football playoff that you've got to have that extra gear. And we spent a lot of time talking about this last season. You don't want to wait until week 10, week 11, week 12 to start slinging the ball around and find out what you have. You want to know about that early on. But it's also hard to make that argument when Michigan's beating the shit out of everybody they play by pushing them around and running it with Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards.
All right, Chris, I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, and I'm kind of putting myself on the spot because I have not looked at this. It's going to take a little bit of mental math. It's going to take some bullshit and some throwing stuff against the wall and seeing if it sticks, which we'd love doing that. So last year...
yes, Cody, the late season secret playbook that always comes in handy.
Right.
Don't forget about that.
Last year, Michigan had, give or take a couple with some the weird split thing with Cade and JJ in the first week and the second week, and then some of the other quarterbacks getting some run late in the games. I'm just going to cap the number at an easy one to remember. Michigan had 350. I'm sorry, that was attempts. Michigan had 230 completions. Okay, 230 completions across the board. I didn't really want to look at receiver breakdown because it's obviously a different roster. You don't have Ronnie Bell, you don't have Schoonmaker, you've got some transfer guys. How do you think those looked? First of all, that number 230, is JJ McCarthy going to be north of 230 completions? That's roughly,
you mean, right?
Completions. I wanted to do completions so I could see how many receptions each guy might have and how that breakdown kind of looks. You're roughly saying 20 a game, right? 12 game season, 12, 13, 14, 15, maybe depending on how many they play. Who do you think leads the team in catches? How many do they have? And then if you go down the list, like what order do you see guys being in when it comes to making plays and making receptions in this offense? Even if it looks just like last year with the same number, but we're being led to believe that it might be a little bit more.
What I think you're going to see is stepping in for Ronnie Bell as Roman Wilson. I think Ronnie Bell had 60-some receptions last year. I see Roman Wilson filling that void. And then Luke Schoonmaker, who I think was the second leading receiver on the team, I see Colston Loveland filling that role. And Colston Loveland is the type of guy who can play like true tight end, but he's also a guy that I think can split out. If you're in the red zone, you need a guy to like go to the corner, back of the corner end zone, just toss it up to him, let him get it. He's got pretty good athleticism as well. So I could see it being Roman Wilson, Colston Loveland, And then from there, I don't know, take your pick. It's going to, Cornelius Johnson, probably number 3 on that list is where I would put him. I don't think he's going to have a ton of receptions, but I think he's going to be right up with
this is interesting because I'm wondering what this is going to look like. So you pretty much see Cornelius is Cornelius of last year. Roman slots in to be the new Ronnie.
Correct.
Colston slots in to be the new Luke Schoonmaker. Because Cornelius Johnson was the 3rd leading receiver last year. He had 32 catches. Luke Schoonmaker had 35, and Ronnie Bell had 62.
And that's exactly how I see it. Roman Wilson, Colston Loveland, Cornelius Johnson. That's the top 3 receivers. And to be honest, Michigan will be just fine utilizing those 3 targets. And then if you can get a Tyler Morris, a Darius Clemens, if you can get some of these other guys to step in and fill a serviceable role, you're just fine.
So here's your 6 guys catching passes for you this year. If it's a transitive property type of thing where guys just kind of move in and take over their new role. So you've got Roman Wilson, 55 to 60 catches.
Yep.
You've got you've got Colston Loveland. I think he could have a better year than Luke Schoonmaker, but Luke had 35 catches. So you've got Colston Loveland at 35, 40 receptions. Cornelius Johnson is the same dude, 32 to 35 catches. And then after that's where it gets interesting. And you just said a name in Tyler Morris. We've talked about Darius Clemens.
Peyton O'Leary.
Yeah, there's some guys where you're kind of wondering maybe what their production looks like. Last year, that was Roman Wilson. You think Roman's going to take a big leap to be the new number 1. Last year, he was the number 4, and he had 25 catches. So who's your 25 catch guy in 2023?
Could it be Donovan Edwards?
He had 18 last year. He wasn't
Could
far off.
Could it be Donovan Edwards? And how many games was he out injured?
Yeah. And then you had a true freshman, Colston Loveland, with 16 catches last year. That's AJ Barner, in my opinion. That's
AJ Barner. I mean, hell, that's Blake Corum. How many receptions did Blake Corum have last year?
Corum had 11. So I kind of stopped it at him.
Yeah.
But point being is I'm not worried about any of the distribution because I feel like you've got guys who will slot into the old roles and maybe Cornelius and Roman are a little closer. I mean, I don't know if Roman Wilson is Ronnie Bell. I'm not as sold on that as you seem to be.
But if you've got extremely sold on Roman Wilson. If
you've got 50 catches for Roman and 45 for Cornelius, then the production's still the same. It's still there. Yeah. It's just distributed a little different. So I am really interested to see how that breaks down, but I'm like worried? No. Concerned? Not at all. Not at all. I mean, a really long answer for the wide receiver.
Would we love to have a Marvin Harrison Jr. on the roster? Yeah, that'd be pretty good. But it didn't matter much in Columbus last year, and it really hasn't prevented Michigan from at least capturing a conference championship and getting the college football playoff the last 2 years. So.
I respectfully disagree, Rob. I do not think that AJ Barner is as nearly as dynamic as Colston Loveland. Yeah. Big body, big strong dude, can make some plays, but he's not as fleet of foot. He's not going to go up and make it. Like that catch that Loveland made as a freshman last year against Purdue. Dude, there's like 5 tight ends in the country who can do that. That's incredible. Yeah. That's an incredible play.
And to Eric May's point, if Amorian Walker also makes the transition back, now you have another fast, serviceable type wide receiver that can make some big plays, stretch the field. So, yeah, man, they don't have that premier guy, but they have a ton of options.
And CJ Cornelius Johnson, I wrote CJ down on the list. He actually led the team in touchdown catches with 6. Obviously, had the big game against Ohio State. Had a couple long ones. Roman Wilson had a couple long ones on the season. So there's talent there. There's speed there. Cornelius Johnson gets really overlooked for how athletic and fast he is. I mean, he runs different. But
my issue with Cornelius Johnson, and I've said this before, is that he had an incredible game against Ohio State. The speed is obviously there, but I've never seen him go up and snag the ball out of the air like you used to see with like a Braylon Edwards or even a J.U. Chesson or a Mara Darboh type catch where you can go up, contested ball, snag it out of the air, win the 50-50 ball. I just haven't seen that much out of him. And I don't know who that wide receiver is on this roster. Maybe it's Amorian Walker. Maybe that's Colston Loveland. Maybe that's who that is. But that guy where you can just drop back and you say, F it, he's down there somewhere, and you toss it and you know he's going to go up and get it. I don't know that that's Cornelius Johnson.
Here's a very interesting comparison to make your exact point, Chris. Cornelius Johnson, you know who's the exact same size as him? Marvin Harrison Jr. And they could not be more different in terms of what you would expect them to do with their body. And like you just said, throw it up. That's an 80-20 ball when you throw it up to Marvin Harrison, not a 50-50 ball. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you don't really feel that with Cornelius. So that's okay. I mean, he's not that guy. Yeah, he's good at a lot of other things, and we saw it on display against Ohio State. But I'm with you. He's not that kind of receiver, and you'd like to have that same type of thing. He's actually listed as heavier than Marvin Harrison Jr., which that's crazy.
I could see that. Yeah. But again, like a guy who can go up, high point the ball, snag it out of the air. I have not seen that from him throughout his career. And it feels like a while since Michigan has had a guy like that. And to me, when you look at this roster, even though he plays tight end, Colston Loveland is that guy. I mean, AJ Barter, more of a traditional tight end. I think Colston Loveland can do a lot of damage, even if he lines up outside, especially in the red zone, especially if you need to toss it to the back corner of the end zone and have somebody that can go up and snag it. We saw that. You alluded to it. That catch he had against Purdue in the Big Ten championship game, that's what you look for out of a guy like that.
Yeah, and you can get that from him, and he's just going to be so supremely confident coming into year 2 with all the time he's had to work with JJ. And
I think this whole team is supremely confident. Everybody on this roster, and they should be.
Jacob Morris, I think you're asking me what I said. So Marvin Harrison Jr. listed at 6'4", 205. Cornelius Johnson 6'3", 207. I mean, that's the same body. I mean, that's you're splitting hairs at that point, but just very different expectations of what you would ask those two guys to do. So anyway, all right, that's a lot of talk about football, and that's kind of how it always goes. And we will come back to football here shortly. But first, Chris, basketball. Good news. Wait. Good news. We've lost cabin pressure on Chris. Good news emanating from the hardwood for now. I mean, dude, at this point, couldn't this guy just decide he's not coming in like a month and it would be like on brand for what's
couldn't admissions just kick his ass out tomorrow?
Anyway, in a rare form of good news for the basketball program, Michigan has procured a commitment from Olivier Nkamhoua. First of all, hilarious last name to say over and over if you're announcing the game. I remember hearing that last year watching Tennessee play. I'm like, what the hell is that guy's name? Olivier Nkamhoua, 6'9", power forward, kind of stretch forward type, can shoot it outside a little bit. Look, man, good player. A lot of pretty good programs wanted him, but Chris and I talked about this earlier. This is not like a game-changing, program-changing get, but it just sucks now that you don't have Caleb Love anymore and that Hunter Dickinson decided to leave, because if you start to look at what the roster could have been with the 3 transfer guys, the young guys getting a little bit better, and Caleb Love and Hunter Dickinson, now you have a team that could contend in the Big Ten and make a tournament run. Instead, you've got some role player guys in Olivier Nkamhoua, Trey Jackson, Namari Burnett, young freshmen where you're going to have to get a lot of minutes out of them. Jalen Llewellyn coming back from the knee injury. You still just don't know what this team is going to be, but a solid development for them to get a guy out of the portal, because it's been tough sledding going that route for Juwan lately.
Yeah, and I mean, it was, from what I was tracking, it was a quick change of heart, because he had put out his final, and I think Baylor, and I can't remember who the other school was, but he was down to 2 schools, and that Michigan was out of the running, and then all of a sudden Michigan was back in the running, and then he was committed to Michigan. And so I'm not sure what happened there that ended up bringing him to Ann Arbor. But again, like, even when you get a commitment, from the transfer portal on the basketball side of things, just given the way things have gone with admissions, it's difficult to get excited about. And then when you look at the overall, I mean, did I hear correctly that Michigan is only going to have 1 true freshman on the roster this upcoming season? Yeah, just 1 freshman on there you go. That's it. So, I mean, I have a hard time getting excited about what the product is going to look like when basketball season rolls around. I just think that there's, it's a very middle of the road team, and I think they're going to be fighting for their lives once again to try to make the tournament, and we'll see what happens.
Some of that is obviously scholarship numbers, but they have open spots still. So why wasn't there better roster management? I mean, like, okay, look, if you're the coach, I don't even understand how you take a public commitment from a kid if you don't know he can get into school. Like that part out of the gate.
How do you get to that point and not be aware that he won't pass admissions? I don't understand
that part, and that's not on Juwan entirely, but like he's obviously involved in the courtship and the recruiting of that kid. And if you don't even know if he's going to get into school, and what the hell are we really doing? Like, you've got to know. There has to be more continuity and synergy. There's a good word for you, Chris, from back in your business days.
Wow.
From the admissions, from the athletic director, from the coaching staff, from the counselor, from everybody involved on whatever it takes to get a kid in via the transfer portal. I just don't know how it gets to that point where he's committed for a month and then all of a sudden he can't come anymore.
Well, I mean, think of how much time have you wasted recruiting this kid,
that's what I mean.
Doing everything you can do to get him to commit just for admissions to say, not so fast. If you're Juwan Howard and you're his coaching staff and you're putting in all this work, had you known, you could have been placing those efforts elsewhere. So it's wasted time, it's wasted effort. And I don't understand how you get to that point without knowing that he won't even qualify much earlier in the game before a commitment even comes.
And so I'm sorry, it's not all on Juwan, but it is on Juwan because you're the head coach and you take the brunt of
man,
all that stuff.
Listen,
man.
We were not. I will say this: it's interesting because I have a harder time being hard on Juwan Howard than I did being on Jim Harbaugh, and I think part of that is because Harbaugh arrived with a pedigree, extensive head coaching experience. The expectations were lofty, but it was justified given what Jim Harbaugh had done at previous stops. We all understood that this was Juwan Howard's first head coaching endeavor anyway, and that there were going to be some bumps along the way. And so I think I try to be a little more sympathetic to him. And then when you tack on top of it the struggles he has with admissions and NIL and some of the other things, there's a part of me that feels for him, but I'm with you, Brandon. Like, at the end of the day, you took the job, you're the guy in that seat, and a lot of this, for better or worse, falls at your feet.
He also started off hot and won a Big Ten title. That doesn't hurt.
He did do that. And there's still a lot of people that want to give John Beilein credit for that.
Which is fine, but in terms of his reception and how you view him and like you said, the long leash or whatever, however you want to call it, there were several things working for him in his favor, and he seemed to be building an incredible culture, and he was recruiting his ass off at first, and that's all gone now. So it's a legitimate concern all around the program, and I just don't know how it happens. I don't know how you've got 13 scholarships. I mean, a basketball roster is small. It should not be that hard to stay on top of it and put together a roster that works and fits together, and you've got enough guys at each position. And I don't know. That seems to be a pretty big struggle for Juwan Howard, and I don't know why that is. Because he's a basketball lifer. I mean, dude.
But if your NIL sucks and the prospects of making the NCAA tournament don't look great, and you're a prospect looking around, and there's other programs that can offer better, which there are, it's. But I mean, like, what are you selling if you're Juwan Howard? What are you selling?
Here's a prime example. Now, granted, I don't know these guys in and out. I haven't watched a lot of their game tape. I know them on the surface. Their measurables. I watched some highlights, some cut-ups, and I've seen a little bit of both of them last year just by chance. I don't know why you go to the transfer portal and get Trey Jackson and Olivier Nkamhoua. They're the same guy. They're 6'8", 6'9". They don't shoot it terrifically well from the outside. They're not fly-through-the-air athletes. They're like the same guy. It just seems like the roster management and putting together a five that works together.
Because you're banking on the fact that one of them might not make it through admissions.
Yeah.
Now you got to recruit two of each.
Go recruit two Caleb Loves, and when one of them gets booted, I think Chris is being a little facetious there, but it is like there's some struggles, seriously, obviously, that come with it, but again. I just don't understand some of the struggles that seem to be coming up and resurfacing every single year with the roster management and how some of these things are shaking out. And Ty Black, I know Jackson can shoot threes, but he's not a guy you want taking like 6 or 7 a game. I think he shot like 32% or something. That's not.
Hunter Dickinson could also shoot threes. It's not.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to rely on his 3-point shooting.
Yeah, I don't know. So I just think they're pretty similar. I don't know I mean, first of all, I would assume based on the rest of the roster, they're probably going to start, right? I mean, I would think. I don't know about Amari Burnett.
Who knows?
Jalen Llewellyn's coming back from the injury. Doug McDaniel played a lot more last year than you thought. Terrace Reed's really the only center you have. It's just like, I don't know. I don't know what that roster looks like and what the starting five looks like and how your rotations come together. It's a little bit dodgy
right now. You just got to hope there's a lot of good chemistry on whatever roster they have, because talent-wise, when you look around the Big Ten and then you look at a national picture, this team they're going to have to fight for every single thing they get. And here's hoping that it's not a repeat of what we saw last season.
Yeah. So we'll see how
that was difficult to watch, man. That was a difficult season to watch. That was probably the closest I'd watched Michigan basketball in a long time, and it was very upsetting.
So we'll finish on this. A little bit more football to close out. Chris has an obligation here at 6, as do I. So we're going to try to get out of here in the next couple minutes. But last but not least, it doesn't matter for us, Chris, because I'll be in the box and you'll be down on the field. But Michigan's first game of the season against East Carolina is on.
Boo! I hate it.
Cock.
I hate it.
It's on there. It's on the cock, dude. It's on there. I don't know what you really want to say about it, or
are we just? Is everybody that's upset about it? Are they just? What do you call it? What do you call them? Boomers? You call them old? What are? Because I feel like there's a certain age where it's like streaming games is just a normal thing now. For me, it's like I'm very, very uncomfortable with having to like get an app and pay for a streaming service and watch Michigan football there. To me, Michigan football is like ABC 12. You get them on Fox. You get them on the national channels. It's crazy to me that there is a large segment of the fan base that is used to watching Michigan football that's not going to be able to see that first game.
I can't remember the year, but it was a long time ago, 30 plus, I think, since Michigan hasn't had a nationally televised game.
Yeah.
So,
dude, the late 50s, early 60s crowd, they're not trying to mess with Peacock. They're not trying to deal with all that.
Yeah.
That's probably is that I don't think that's the only game that Michigan's going to be on a streaming service this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I thought it was, but you might be right. And we're certainly trending towards that, where there's going to be more.
Yeah.
I'm already looking forward to the month-long discussion with my dad about how he's going to be able to watch it. Because that's what it's going to be.
You're going to be acting as tech support there leading up to the game.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be in that boat, and it's just weird all the way around. And I mean, it's money. It's money. That's what it is. But yeah, not awesome for the traditionalists and just what Michigan football on a Saturday. The opening game, dude, the first game of the season.
That, you know what? That's even a bigger slap in the face.
Yeah, man.
The first game of the season? Come on.
So, I don't know. I'm like, I think it could be funny. It might will they even have it broadcasting in the press box? Like, do they even have Peacock up there? Like, they're going to have to go out of their way to get it just to play it in the press box.
Well, hopefully they have a different service than what we have, because it's terrible up there.
Yeah. So I don't know. That is strange. I mean, Michigan is going to be favored by a lot in that one, and might be a snoozer, but dude, put it on TV. It still needs to be on TV, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. So that's a little bit strange, but we'll be there. I mean, we'll be there with bells on, dude. And it's, I don't even know. What are we, 90 days or something? It's like 90 days away, something like that.
Coming. It is coming.
Is it September 2nd?
September 2nd, yeah.
Hey, Siri, how many days? Until 87. We're under 90.
Under 90, wow.
87 days away from Michigan football returning to.
When you did that, it reminds me of how my mom, when she goes to talk to her phone, she talks to it as if it's like, okay, Google, I have to ask you a question.
Oh,
and she goes through
you have to say, hey, Siri, for it to pop up. You can't just start talking.
Can you give me the information regarding?
Listen, I don't know what you've got to do with. I don't know what you've got to do with an Android. You've got to use.
You just pull it up and you say, "Hey."
You got to use more. You got to use a messenger pigeon to get your phone to fire. I don't know what you do with that. With the iPhone,
you hit it really hard.
I saw a stand-up comedian the other day doing a bit about being an Android user, He was like, we are the most discriminated group of people in America. He's like,
it's egregious.
It was so. I need to send it to you. I remember
you guys with your cult following technology. Like, you know what?
Did you see the new Apple headwear, dude? Where you can like put it on and like move your screen around just in the air. It's $3,500, dude. It's like a VR headset.
Literally, we are just a couple clicks away from never leaving our homes again and having something strapped to our face.
We've all seen it. We've all seen this in futuristic movies before, where there's just a display in the air, and they're just flinging stuff. That's what it is. I told you, if the graphics in the metaverse were better, I might never come out. I might just live there. That's right. You did say that. You said, "This is my life now."
I am a starting quarterback for the Lions. I'm here. I'm in it. I just need somebody to feed me from the outside world. That's all.
Well, there you have it, man. 50 minutes in. We'll be back on Saturday from the lovely grounds of the Grand Traverse Resort up in Traverse.
Yes, sir.
City. Looking very forward to that. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in on a nice Wednesday afternoon at 5 o'clock. Chris, good luck.
The early bird.
Good luck to your boy in his soccer game.
Appreciate it.
And, if anybody still wants to get a ticket, again, Chris said till tomorrow, I believe you said, right? Thursday for the
Thursday, I believe, is the last day you can get the tickets online for Wolverine weekend. So get online, get your tickets, get up there, come see the boys, get to meet some of the Michigan football players if you want.
There you have
it. And have a solid weekend.
All right. We'll talk to you guys on Saturday.